Hello, everyone. If you like what I'm doing here, please consider subscribing, liking, and commenting. It would really help the channel out quite a bit. Thank you very much.
Our New Haven opening was absolutely chaotic. I remember the turntables wouldn't work, and we never thought they would. It was pouring with rain. People from New York got stuck in cars and couldn't get to the show in time, and so they were coming in late. How we ever got through it, I don't know, but somehow we did.
It's the heartbeat of Broadway.
Another open, another show in Philly, Boston, or Baltimore. A chance for stage folks to say hello. Another open...
Your Heart Association, together with the station, presents the heartbeat of Broadway. Stories of the heartaches and headaches and bringing some of the musical factors of all time to triumph on Broadway, as told by the show people who helped make theater history.
Another open of another show.
Today, in a special salute to the 1959 Heart Fund, we bring you the story behind the story of a musical phenomenon, My Fair Lady. Your narrator, the famous columnist, Ty Gardner.
Thank you. If the roof of the Mark Hellinger Theater hadn't been firmly nailed down on the night of March 15, 1956, it would have blown sky high when the curtain rang down off the finale of My Fair Lady. In the words of Walter Kerr, critic for the Herald Tribune, it was a miraculous musical. But on Broadway, even miracles have ordinary beginnings. My Fair Lady, based on Shaw's Pygmalion, began with a trip by Lerner and Lowe, the composers, and Herman Levin, the producer. Herman, how about recalling that trip?
Alan and Fritz and I went to London and talked Rex Harrison into going into the show. They wrote songs, one after another. All this was done before we really legally had the rights.
Wasn't that taking a big chance?
We felt that we were going to get him, and we were willing to take the risk, not only of the time and the money, but the kind of aggravation and heartache it would result if, after having done all that, we didn't get the rights.
Once the rights were secured, the show went into production, a musical starring Rex Harrison, who had never appeared before in a musical. Did this bother him? Dick Maney, the publicity man for the show, tells us something about that.
The only alarms Rex had was to go out there and face 30 musicians, something he'd never done before in his life. You know, that chilled his blood. But he has a great sense of rhythm, which was his salvation. And no one complains about the fact that he can't sing. Now half the actors in America are in the bathroom practicing singing. Most of them can't sing a note.
How come that Rex Harrison, with no singing experience, was willing to take this chance? There's only one man who can really answer that. What about it, Rex?
Well, it was Shaw's Pygmalion that attracted me in the first instance. But being in a musical, I felt very doubtful because, as I should think a great number of people know, now I can't sing. The idea amused me, and I always thought that Henry Higgins was a good part for me, and I thought I'd tackle it and see what came out.
Why can't the English teach their children how to speak? This verbal class distinction by now should be antique. Use proper English, you're regarded as a freak. Oh, why can't the English learn to speak?
Of course, as far as Julie Andrews was concerned, there never were any doubts. Everyone knew that Julie could sing.
It was enormous care of food, be lovely. Lots of chocolate for me to eat. Lots of cow like lots of eat. Warm fight, warm and warm seed of food, be lovely.
Yes, the singing was no problem with Julie, but getting from lovely to loverly was a very big problem. Julie, how did you ever learn to speak like a Cockney?
I got in touch with a man called Mr. Alfred Dixon, and he is a phonetics professor of the present day, rather like Professor Higgins. And it was very strange because, whereas Professor Higgins in the play teaches Eliza to become a lady, poor Mr. Dixon was trying to teach me to become a Cockney, and it was rather a hard job. Oh, he drew huge diagrams on a blackboard and explained to me the sounds and breathing and that sort of thing. But when we finally got down to it, it was a question of A becomes I, and O becomes ow, and that sort of thing.
The rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain.
The rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain.
I think she's got it.
The rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain.
By George, she's got it. Now once again, where does it rain?
On the plain.
And where's that foggy plain?
In Spain.
The rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain.
The rain stays mainly in the plain.
Now here is Rex Harrison again, stepping back into the character of Professor Higgins for a moment, with a lesson in language that goes to the heart of the matter.
England and America share the same language, but there are some differences. For example, your radio is our wireless, your suspenders are our braces. But when it comes to the heart, well, the word is the same on both sides of the Atlantic, and the diseases that affect the heart are the same too. We're all well aware that heart disease is a universal affliction. In America alone, it accounts for more deaths than all other diseases combined. And we also know that only through medical science, through the unceasing work of heart research, will the mysteries of heart disease be solved. But whether you call it dollars or pounds, shillings or quarters, heart research is costly, and the job calls for our wholehearted and generous support. You might say, let's get started. I say, let's get cracking. But however we say it, the meaning is clear. Join the fight against heart disease by giving to your heart association, and help your heart fund help your heart.
One reason for the critical acclaim of My Fair Lady was the delightful way in which the songs were integrated into the show. Stanley Holloway, who plays Eliza Doolittle's father, tells us about that.
All the lyrics of the songs come directly out of the dialogue. And even with a little bit of luck, my own song followed on a dialogue scene, and I say to my two cronies, well, Eliza, she'll be good for half a crown. Sure enough, when she comes on stage, I do eventually touch her for half a crown. I say to the boys, I told you not to go home, boys. It's just faith, hope, and a little bit of luck.
Above gave man an arm of iron, so he could do his job and never shirk. The Lord above gave man an arm of iron, but with a little bit of luck, someone else will do the blinking work. With a little bit of
Although you won't find it listed in the cast of characters, a penguin played a very important role in the production of My Fair Lady. Kathleen Nesbitt, Professor Higgins' mother in the play, recalls the incident.
It was rather amusing during the rehearsals. Rex Harrison was very, very anxious that they shouldn't depart from Shaw in dialogue at all. And sometimes if he found a line he didn't quite like, he'd whip out a little penguin copy of Pygmalion from his pocket.
However, they got awfully sick of me. I was always holding up the rehearsal to go and get my penguin, losing my penguin, finding my penguin.
And finally, at the final rehearsal before we went to New Haven, there was a little gathering on the stage, and Lerner and Lowe presented them with an enormous stuffed penguin and said, now, can we have your little copy back? Because we don't want any more interruptions.
Incidentally, Miss Nesbitt, how do you think George Bernard Shaw would have liked My Fair Lady?
But I think Shaw would have absolutely loved the entire thing. It would appeal to his sense of humour. He'd have loved all the lyrics, and also he would have loved all the royalties that came pouring in.
One of the most thrilling moments in My Fair Lady is Rex Harrison's closing number, when he takes complete command of the stage and, in dialogue and song, explains his feelings.
It's what a very famous playwright called the recognition scene, and he said there must be a recognition scene in every play. This is Higgins' recognition scene in Accustomed to Her Face, because he then realizes something which he didn't realize when he left the scene previously, that he has fallen, and this is where he recognizes the fact. And the lead-in to that is a very simple one. It's just damn, 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 damn.
I've grown accustomed to her face. She almost makes the day begin. I've grown accustomed to the tune she whistles night and noon. Her smile, her frown, her ups, her downs are second nature to me now. Like breathing out, breathing in. I'm very grateful she's a woman, and so easy to forget. Rather like a habit one can always break. And yet, I've grown accustomed to the trace of something in the air, accustomed to her face.
That's the closing number in My Fair Lady. But first came the opening in New Haven.
Our New Haven opening was absolutely chaotic. I remember the turntables wouldn't work, and we never thought they would. It was pouring with rain. People from New York got stuck in cars and couldn't get to the show in time, and so they were coming in late. How we ever got through it, I don't know, but somehow we did. New York was really a very different cup of tea altogether. By that time, of course, the show had been fined down to the way it was going to be. Turntables were working, and I must say I found it tremendously exciting.
So did the opening night audience and the critics and everyone else, everywhere else, since that night. My Fair Lady was the toast of the town. Now, before we bring our Hot Fun production to a close, I'd like to call back several of our stars for little curtain speeches. Julie Andrews?
This month, Heart Month, you can help your heart and the hearts of your loved ones by contributing to the Heart Fund. Your dollars will help medical science speed up research, education, and community services where you live. Remember, the best way to fight heart disease is through your Heart Fund.
Stanley Holloway?
I'm very glad to have taken part in this broadcast for the Heart Fund, and I can wish it every possible success.
And one way to ensure that success is for all of you folks listening in to contribute generously to your Heart Association. This is Hy Gardner thanking the members of My Fair Lady for bringing us the story behind the story of that memorable musical. And to emphasize again the main theme of the day. When you help your Heart Fund, you help your heart. Good luck now.
You've been listening to The Heartbeat of Broadway, presented by this station as a public service in cooperation with your Heart Association. Remember, during American Heart Month, give to your Heart Association or to Heart, care of your post office.